We recently saw that consumer spending starting to go down with the retail numbers, but another sector of the economy where spending is slowing down is with car sales and with car prices. I even showed you guys how deflation is real when it comes to car prices right now. Specifically, if you want to buy a used EV, that's where you're seeing the most deflation right now. But car prices in general are falling back down to earth. They're still too expensive, but the fact that they are getting cheaper should be something that people are happy about. People always want to hear good news. Well, it's good news that cars are getting cheaper. So one thing that happened during the pandemic is that the new car inventory plummeted because the production basically got halted and people turned to buying a used car instead. And what happened was the prices of these used cars went parabolic. It's kind of similar to what happened with the housing market. And if we take a look at this chart here, it does a very good job of showing you exactly what went on with the car market. Okay, this first yellow line is domestic autos inventory. In January of 2022, you can see how much it just completely sank by June of 2021. And now it is slowly recovering as of April of 2024, but it's still sitting at less than half of the inventory that we had before the pandemic. Same thing with new vehicle prices. You can see that they steadily went up during the pandemic, and they're just kind of hanging out there right now. They're still pretty high, and some automakers are starting to give some good deals on these new cars now as they're starting to sit on the lots. But I think the best deals are yet to be had when it comes to buying a brand new car. But the used car prices in particular, which you can see on this red line, literally went parabolic. You know, it went up sky high and then has been steadily declining since roughly the beginning of 2022. Which is a good thing, but as you can see, the affordability is still nowhere near it was pre-pandemic. Same thing with the housing market, and it's why so many people are frustrated with how it's going right now, because the prices have just not come back down to where it was before, and there's a chance that it may never will. And similarly to the housing market, it's kind of crazy how many parallels there are here. Inventory for both new and used vehicles is starting to spike back up a lot faster than we're seeing with housing, but the difference is that the buyers are not coming back. People have stopped buying these cars. Everything is so unaffordable right now, guys. People that are trying to afford a house, they're trying to afford life, they're trying to afford putting their kids through college or just putting food in their kids' mouth. They're trying to afford, you know, an existing car payment. They're trying to afford utilities, the grocery bill, everything. People can't go out there and buy new cars, and people can't go out there and buy these houses. That's why the sales on all of it is in the tank still. And another reason that people aren't buying the cars is it's not just that the prices are higher, but similarly to real estate, the total cost of ownership has also ballooned. You know, you have your car payment, but you also have your insurance. You have your maintenance cost. You have the fuel you have to put in it. Even if it's an EV, utilities and electric prices have gone up. So it doesn't matter whether you drive a gas car or an electric car, you're paying one way or the other. Everybody across the board has been hit with a car insurance increase over the past year or two, okay? If you haven't been hit by one yet, consider yourself one of the lucky ones, because it is coming. And if the price isn't bad enough, the higher interest rates are also making it harder to afford a car right now. They say if you want to buy a brand new car, your average monthly payment is now $100 higher than it was in the middle of 2022, which seems like a pretty big underestimate if you ask me. I would say it's probably more like $300 or $400 a month higher as somebody who shopped brand new cars around this time. Like, it is more, guys. It's a lot more. People who are looking to buy a brand new car right now are probably looking at having anywhere between an $800 to $1,000 a month car payment. And then you have the car insurance. You know, that's up 22.6% year over year as of April in 2024. So these expenses are just going up way faster than people's wages, just like all the other expenses that have risen with inflation. But if you can't afford the insurance on a car, then you can't afford to buy the car. That's kind of how it goes for houses too. Look at these average interest rates that people are paying, you know. For these 72, 60, 48-month loans, people are paying anywhere between 8 and 9% interest right now. That's just kind of normal. And if your credit is bad, it's going to be even more than that. And let's face it, guys, like that's assuming you have no problems with your car. Every car is going to have problems at some point, especially if it's a used and older car with higher miles. And by the way, speaking of cars, guys, I want to sell my 1997 Camaro Z28. So this is like a shameless plug. I'm going to put a little clip of it here in this video since we're talking about cars. So if anybody wants to buy my car, message me. I would like to get $15,000 for it. It's a classic at this point. You know, there was only like less than 3,000 of this particular model ever made, something like that. I love the car and I wish I could keep it. But the thing is, I have it parked here in my dad's house in Illinois. I don't even have it in Florida anymore because just the pay for parking alone where I live would cost more than actually keeping the car. So talking about expenses to own cars, if you live in expensive and dense areas like I do in Miami, okay, you have to pay just to park the car, all right? That would cost me an extra like $150 a month. So we're talking over $2,000 a year before I ever put a drop of gas in it, before I ever do any repairs, any maintenance, anything. You know, it's just ridiculous. So even though I can afford it, I just don't want the extra payment. I don't want the extra headache. I don't want to have something else to deal with, you know? So that's why I'm getting rid of the car. I really am gonna be sad to see it go, but at the same time, I'd like to see it go to somebody who wants to drive the car. Like on these back roads here, I took it for a rip, you know, for the first time in over a year, and it's such a fun car to drive. It's a 6-speed manual transmission, just a really fun car. But at the end of the day, I would just rather have it go to somebody else who's going to enjoy the car more than I can now. In fact, most Americans right now are saying that vehicle maintenance and the loans are the two top expenses that make it hard to afford a car right now. And nearly 45% of people say that they're having difficulty affording those two line items for their car. And this is why I made the video a month or two ago about people are driving cars until the wheels fall off, because that's the only practical solution to this problem. You know, let's drive the car until it no longer works, until it no longer makes sense to fix it, and then I'll look at buying a new one. And that's what so many people are just doing right now, and I think it's a smart financial move. And obviously anybody who's interested in buying my car, it's not a smart financial move. I'm going to tell you this right now, guys. This is not the car for somebody turning 16 that just wants, you know, their first car or whatever. This is a car for somebody who appreciates old Camaros like this, has the extra money to burn on it, okay? This is not a daily driver probably for most people. It was my daily driver for a while, but it's not something that you're going to buy to save money on repairs or fuel efficiency for sure, anything like that. It's just something if you have the extra money and you want to buy it. And honestly, if I don't sell the car, I don't care. It's just going to stay here with my dad for forever, I guess, until I have somewhere else to put it. But you know, now that cars are getting so expensive to buy and just maintain and hold on to the one that you already have, more people are asking the question like, well, what happens if I just stop paying for it? You know, we've seen the car repos tick up significantly. You know, I did a car repo video with Brandon from Car Questions Answered a couple weeks ago down in Charlotte, which was really cool. And speaking of him, Brandon, why don't you let us know what you're thinking and what you're seeing with affordability with cars right now?
So Michael, what we're seeing at these used car dealer auctions like I go to every single week is a massive spike in repossessed cars. And the big thing is that people are spending so much money on everything else that they can't afford to make their car payments. And that's why I'm seeing a lot of these repos come through the system right here at this auction, right here every single week. And it's going to continue going forward. But here's the thing. I know we see a lot of comments, both in my section and your section, that's, okay, repos are going to destroy the car market. They're going to crash the car market, just like we saw in the housing market. But it's not going to be the case. See, what we have is a lack of inventory on the used car side from these new car dealers not getting trade-ins. So a lot of these new car dealers, these franchise dealers, they're having a hard time moving their inventory. And if they can't sell their cars, then they're not getting trade-ins. And the trade-ins are what I buy here at these used car dealer auctions. So even if we get this massive spike in auto loan delinquencies and repos, even double of what we have right now, there's still this this massive hole that's being left behind from all these new car dealers not being able to sell their cars. And the reason why they can't sell cars is because they're too expensive. These average monthly payments of $750 for a brand new car, people can't buy it. As you know, as you've talked about a lot, housing is through the roof. Groceries are through the roof. People are losing their jobs. You add all that together, they're not buying a brand new car. So the car market can't get better until the economy gets better, and then people buy new cars and then trade in their old cars, and that's what I buy here at these auctions. But if the economy doesn't get better, if interest rates don't come down, if prices don't come down, people are not going to buy cars, and then that means I can't buy more used cars and I can't get them for a good price. So used car prices are going to stay stubbornly high until things get better.
So right now, you have the number of borrowers who fell more than 90 days behind on their auto loans rose to 2.66% in the fourth quarter of 2023, which is a 20% increase from the year before, guys. So the auto loan delinquencies are surging right now. And it's for all the things that it's because of all the reasons we just talked about. It's because people can't afford all the ongoing costs just to keep the vehicle. And even if they can, everything else in their life has gotten more expensive. And to me, all this is just proof that wages are not keeping up with inflation, like so many people like to lie about and say that it is. But if it was, then we wouldn't be seeing these type of struggles in the economy right now. You have a lot of people right now that are barely making ends meet, and they're just getting hit left and right with inflation and, you know, higher interest rates across the board on everything. And if you're already in debt, this hurts you even more, which is why I tell people to get out of debt. But if you are somebody that can't pay and you end up defaulting on your loan, this is what's going to happen. Usually after one missed payment, your account will be in default. And after 30 to 90 days of no payments, you're going to get charged with late fees, that's for sure, which can be anywhere between 3 to 5% of the payment amount. Your credit score is definitely going to take a hit at this point. After 30 days late, you're going to be having that show up on your credit report, which is now going to hurt you when you need to go apply for financing for anything else moving forward. Your payment history literally makes up 35% of your FICO credit score. And so missing a payment is really detrimental to your score, so you can expect to see it go down tremendously after being 30 days late on an auto loan. And then, of course, the next step after this is your car is going to get repossessed. Once you're in default, your lender can repossess your car without any warning. So through any means necessary, they're going to find a way to hunt you down with that car. I've heard some people say, oh, I just won't pay and I'll keep it in the garage. Well, that's not going to work, because when you try to do that, the moment that you leave the house with it and go park it in the grocery store parking lot or whatever, they're probably gonna nail you. And you can have your car repossessed after only one missed payment, guys, but most of them do it after 90 days of no payments, so that's 3 missed payments. But just know that you can lose your car after just 30 days if you don't pay. So one delinquent payment and you can be done. And then what's going to happen after your car is repossessed, it's going to end up at a car auction, just like we saw in the video with Brandon, and they're going to sell the car to the highest bidder to try to recoup any of the debt that you still owe on the car. As if missing the payments isn't bad enough for your credit score, if you actually get a repossession, which is basically equivalent to a foreclosure in the car world, this can really damage your credit, guys. So you can kiss goodbye being able to buy a house, being able to get new credit cards, being able to get anything financed moving forward if you're somebody that gets your car repoed. And to make matters worse, your loan can even be sent to collections, and they can try to still get a lot of this money out of you in the future. So if you're somebody who's thinking, hey, I can't really afford the car payment anymore, the number one thing you need to do is you need to talk to your lender. Just the same thing as if you can't afford your mortgage payment anymore. So the earlier you realize you're struggling financially and try to do something about it, then the better off you'll be, most likely. But one thing you don't want to do that has been kind of a trend that people are doing, just like with foreclosures, it's kind of crazy how much the car market actually mirrors real estate. And that is, you know, people get bitter the fact that they're going to lose the car to repossession, that they can't pay for it or whatever, and people are damaging the cars on purpose. And these lenders already can pass along the cost of repossession to you. They can come after you for that amount. They can sue you for that amount. They can send that money to collections if they want to. And it could just make your life a financial nightmare. And then say you get caught up with the repo man in the grocery store parking lot and you give them a fight and you don't want to give up the car, not only are you going against the terms of your loan, but you could also be defying a court order, which can put you in trouble with the law. It's just not smart right now to be getting into these high car payments that you can't afford. And if you have one now, you need to look at how you can get out of it, guys, whether it's through selling the car, whether it's through looking at some sort of repayment plan with your lender. I don't know, but you need to figure out how to get rid of it. That's part of the problem too. You know, so many people took on these massive car payments during the pandemic, getting all this free money and thinking that they could just afford all this for life. And it's turning out to be the exact opposite. You know, now people are getting hit with reality and inflation, and they're no longer able to make these payments, which is also part of the reason you're seeing so much car inventory come to market and no buyers there to absorb it. In fact, it was found out that in California, they have the biggest problem when it comes to auto debt, okay? With about 8 million Californians owing about $25,000 on their cars right now. And people in California already have basically the highest housing costs in the nation, maybe except for Hawaii and New York. They're kind of all right up there. And when I hear this, it just makes me so glad I don't live in California, that I just get to go and visit and enjoy the beautiful weather for a few months. And I'm not subject to this. You know, I don't have to worry about this keeping up with the Joneses in California and trying to allocate massive portions of my income towards housing and paying for these expensive cars over there. But some people are saying, well, this isn't a big deal because people in California also make a lot of money. But yeah, they need to make a lot of money for so many reasons. The cost of living is astronomical there. They need to pay some of the highest housing costs in the nation. They are literally the highest income tax state in the entire country. They have the highest gas tax in the country. Like, you name it, California, it probably costs more than anywhere else. So yeah, people make more money there, but how much of that money they really get to keep, guys? Like, does it matter if you make 150 grand a year in California when your expenses are $130,000, $140,000 a year? All in all, after paying all your taxes and having all of your expenses, I would say it's not worth it. At the end of the day, the bad thing is people taking on this amount of debt, okay? It's a bad long-term economic outlook to see people that indebted in cars, and they're taking on bigger and longer lasting auto loans, which, you know, basically is a guarantee that that person is gonna have less money to live on right now, but also in the future. And it also guarantees that less of their income is going towards saving for retirement and investing. And it's just a downward spiral that people fall into with this stuff. And they say that another reason people could be taking on higher amounts of vehicle debt is because their cost of living has gone up so much. They're kind of forced to take on more debt for the vehicle because a lot of their money is going towards paying the other things they have to pay for in life. All in all, it's just not a good omen for the future of this economy when you're having this many people and high amounts of auto debt, and you're starting to see the amount of delinquencies rise. I think that's a pretty clear picture of where things are headed in the future. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.